We are back on another episode of the Patriots podcast. I'm Sean here with Ryan and JJ.
Hello.
What's up?
Hey, everybody listening. The Patriots that actually JJ and I both picked to be in a close game last week did not perform as expected. 31-17.
It was
Dolphins
pretty close,
with the win.
though.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Ryan, I'm gonna go to you first. Ryan was the only one that picked this like remotely close. Ryan, what'd you see last week?
Ineptitude on offense. Lots of problems where we couldn't seem to get on the same page with the receivers, the blocking. I didn't think Mac Jones was horrible. Threw one bad pick, but really when you watch that replay, I really just thought it was Jalen Ramsey making a terrific play, coming off his guy into space where guy was open.
Dude, that ball was a lollipop.
It was too soft. It was too soft for sure. But the read was correct. It was the correct read.
It was late. It was late and slow.
Yeah. And he's been holding on to the ball a little bit too long. Hesitant. I don't want to put it all on Mac Jones. I thought there was plenty of blame to go around here. But it's just not enough to keep pace. And that was my thing coming into this game. Was just keeping pace with the Dolphins is not an easy thing to do. And once they got rolling, it was clear that they were just going to pull away because our defense played fairly well in this game. It was tough,
Exactly.
And there was plays early on where, you force a punt and you make an interception for their first two drives. And it was like, clearly Miami is not themselves right now. Like, and you need to take advantage of that.
Make mistakes.
And we never really did take advantage of those situations. And it came back to bite you. And you're not going to win games. You're not going to win games if you can't take advantage of some of those things. There was a lot of... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, James, if you had to weight it offensively, defensively, where do you think the blame lays on this game?
I mean, so just to start off, this is a very disappointing game for me. Personally, I just, you come off a Buffalo win, things start looking, you think things are going to be good. You had a good offensive performance against a decent defense, even though Buffalo had some injuries. I'm going to go all offense on that question there, Sean. For the answer there, Ryan, I probably disagree with you a little bit there, where you said wasn't as much, like you didn't blame as much on Mac Jones. There were other things wrong in this game. There were some defensive schemes, like Mapu being the deep safety over Tyreek Hill for that first touchdown. I thought that was one of the dumbest decisions I've ever seen. And there was some stuff, but the offensive line was the same as last week. I figured they could build on that. I didn't think the offensive line had a terrible game. I thought they had a mediocre game, which in the NFL you're going to get. I thought the receivers didn't have a great game, but for me overall, the throw with Mac Jones had, like you said, it was a lollipop. I didn't think it was a bad read. He ballooned it. It was like a skyrocket up there. Jalen Ramsey had all the time in the world to jump it for that. I really hated that. But then the thing that killed me the most about this game with Mac Jones is, I'm not going to say that it was every play, but there were plays that he left on the field more than I can remember in a while. In this game, I can't say it's like, oh, it's all the offensive line. Sure, he got hit a little bit. He got beat up. They had a good pass rush. There was a couple plays there that he couldn't do anything. Understandable. It's going to happen. But there was a couple times where it was just, there were guys open downfield.
Yeah.
And he went through his reads and he would throw it away, or, one of the sacks, he went through his reads, didn't pull the trigger. You see the replay. I think it was Demario Douglas on a couple plays was open downfield. There was one play where Devontae Parker was open downfield. I think one or two times you see Hunter Henry open downfield, and Mac was jittery. He kind of went to his pre-Buffalo game self, where Buffalo, he looked poised. He was standing in the pocket. He was taking hits. He was making throws. He had the middle of the field, which seems to be the thing that he needs. He needs to be able to throw over the middle of the field. In Miami, bunched up in the middle of the field and let him have the sidelines, and he just can't do it. And the reason that makes me real nervous is right. I'm not going to disagree with you. Like, I don't think this is his worst game of the year. Like, clearly he's had way worse
Yeah, no,
games.
it's not. Yeah.
But just in terms of like, I think people have figured him out because Miami's not the greatest defense. If you look at who Miami's beaten, they've only beaten teams with 2
Bad
wins or
teams.
less, right?
They're all bad.
They haven't played, the good defenses, whatever they have a little trouble with, but even them, like they had plenty of troubles. Like you guys said, they had a couple bad turnovers, right? And it's just they pick right up and they move along. It's like Mac had the turnover and you just felt like the game was over, and it shouldn't be. It was one turnover. It's like they didn't score on it. Okay, they got good field position. You just went down 14-7. The game's not over. There's a whole nother half. You scored pretty good on that first touchdown. Like, what's the problem? And he immediately got in his head, and he can't. And it's like, okay, if these teams know that this dude can't throw to the sidelines and only throw over the middle, I don't think you can play quarterback like that in the NFL.
Yeah.
That's what worries me. That's what really worries me.
Devil's advocate. Some of the calls in this game really hurt
Brutal.
us badly.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that.
There was a 3rd and 6 on our 6. The Dolphins are about to score, and the way they were going, maybe they would have gotten that, but they get a gift call.
Yeah,
and it gives them a first down. Pass interference on J.C. Jackson in the end zone, which I'm sorry, that's not pass interference. You can't call that. He barely touched him. In the NFL these days, like
that was an issue throughout the game.
Yeah,
it wasn't. This officiating staff was really bad.
I think Miami's the better team. I think they deserve to win, but
agreed.
I don't think they did us any favors. And some of the penalty calls in the situations they were called were just brutal.
Yeah,
big
play. They were big plays.
Yeah, so, and there was double motion at the same time, which is illegal. They didn't call that. The referee, I don't know what's going on. He seems like he's more concerned about showing his triceps off to the camera than to get the fucking call right. And it's just like there was the pass interference, the double motion they didn't call. A lot of the no calls were really bad to me.
On Devontae Parker.
The hit on Devontae Parker, you can't get more textbook helmet to helmet. Mm-hmm. We're lucky we didn't lose him because we lost Kendrick Bourne in this game. We lost him, but I think we're going to get him back. I'm saying Kendrick Bourne is out for the season now.
Correct. Yeah.
With the torn ACL. At this point, you Juju, Demario Douglas, Parker.
Yeah,
Thornton.
Yeah.
We're Thornton healthy scratch in this game, Thornton.
Terrible. Well, wait, before we get into the receivers, just of
Go ahead.
The refs real quick. So I took some notes on how bad the refs were in this game. And there's one thing, what I noticed against the Buffalo game was it was over officiated. The Buffalo game is over officiated. Now, when you break it down, it was kind of tick for tack where Buffalo got a call, you got a call, Buffalo got a call, you got a call. When it all boils down, okay, maybe someone gained an extra 10 yards over the other person. It wasn't that crazy. This game, it just was inconsistent. They weren't, they were calling these things on us, and they weren't calling it on, they weren't giving the Patriots the benefit of the doubt. So, Ryan, you mentioned the hold on J.C. Jackson, right? 4th down on the goal line. That just the way that drive started, I think it was 2nd or 3rd down in a long second. I think it was 2nd and long, and it was before the 40. They called holding on Godchow in the middle, and it was like a pretty ticky-tack play. And that was, 10 yards to start. So they basically gave him 20 yards on that drive just to get down, plus an extra first down. You didn't mention the 2 guys in motion. They had a play where there was 2 guys running around in motion where our defensive players were looking at them like, what the hell's going on? I think everyone on their TV was going, how the hell is this possible? This isn't legal.
So illegal.
No mention of it. And there was a big play on that. That should have been called back. That should have been a penalty. Guys mentioned the Devontae Parker hit. There was late in the game on Miami's when they scored got to 24 points. There were 2 ball spots that were, I thought, short of the first down.
Yeah. Wasn't that nuts?
And it was one play after another, and they just gave him the first down both times, and it was
Well, on that one, Tyreek Hill caught the ball beyond the first down marker, but he caught the ball at the 49-yard line on the other side of the 50,
and then
then
touchdown.
They marked it at the 50. So when they got the first down, they were barely over the 40 of the next line. I was like, wait, was that like a 1st and 9? Like, how did you do that?
Right.
It was a great tackle too, because the guy was still in the air. And if you don't have your feet down, and the guy grabs you in midair and pushes you back, that's where you get the balls, wherever you land.
Yeah. Is that right?
I thought that where you land inbounds.
I thought it was wherever forward you were.
I don't know.
No, not if you don't get your feet down.
I thought the first one was a first down, but the second one was like, how did you guys spot that?
If you don't get your feet down, all right, so say you're flying in the air and you catch the ball for a first down, and a guy's tackling you, and you move back to 1 yard short. Where your feet land is where you get the ball.
See, that's what I thought.
It's forward progress.
Forward progress. You don't have but you don't have the ball. You don't have your feet down. You don't have possession yet until your feet are down.
That's what I thought. I thought what Ryan's thinking. My brother thought what Granny's thinking. So I don't know what the rule is, but we've
been watching football for 30 years,
and we don't
know what the rule is.
That's the thing, man. Like, they have changed like the phrasing of these rules to such a degree that it's very confusing now. Like, I think back to that Des Bryant catch a bunch of years ago, where he didn't survive the ground, and it just got very confusing to a point where, like, oh, this guy was pushed out of bounds, so the clock keeps moving, and like, it is confusing,
and so
the refs have too much control.
There's too much control. Yeah. And so here's another one for you. So then I think it was the second to last drive again, or the last drive, where they had a lineman downfield. They call the penalty. It's 10 yards, puts them back. All right, where everyone's ready to go. A whole 30 seconds goes by. They're set. They're ready to go. They pick up the flag and they move the ball forward as if that play was completed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've never seen it that delayed. Now, yes, the Patriots got the similar call the week before, but it was pretty immediate. It was like, okay, should we pick up the flag? Should we not pick up the flag? They discussed. They picked up the flag. Move on. Yeah. This game, they set them in the penalty, right? Then there was something happened, and then they just picked up the ball and they moved it forward. There was no real explanation.
Yes.
Are we talking about we're not talking about the illegal man downfield.
There's no illegal
man downfield. Yes, when they just picked the flag up.
That was incredible because they moved the ball back, and then they decided no thanks.
And then the best one. Now, I don't know how this affects or what really fucking happened.
After this, let's get off of the referees.
Yes, we can get off the referees. But there was a play where they called offsides on Miami. So the snap happened, there was a pitch. The pitch got fucked up, and the ball went flying backwards behind Tua. And as that happened, they threw a flag, and it was offsides. So the play had been running. The ball you don't remember this? It bounced off a lineman, went flying backwards.
Yeah.
And then they dropped the flag. Oh, no, that's offsides. And I was like, it's an interesting, it's not immediate. There were no whistles immediately. It was once the play had happened.
The timing is concerning on a lot of these. And it happened again at the very end of the game. And I know I'm elongating this, but when they threw the final interception, Mac Jones did, Juju hit the guy, and they threw the flag immediately, and then they called him for taunting, and I'm like,
no, that's
taunting?
That's insane. And then the Patriots sideline was going crazy because the Dolphins came over, like, celebrating, and
the whole team cleared the bench.
That team that play was completely clean by Juju. That was trying to break up an interception.
So clean.
It was very well done by Juju.
He could not have been more respectful afterwards as well.
Now, they said
he walked away. He walked back and took a knee. Like,
they said he stood over him or something.
He did.
Barmore was pissed, dude.
Barmore was livid. Also, Barmore was fantastic in this game again.
Yeah, really good.
2 games again.
I also want to mention. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to try to pivot to some good things from this game.
I think there's one more thing we need to talk about with the refs. All right, the forward progress on the first down by, I think it was Mostert on a run there. He wasn't his progress hadn't stopped, and the ball gets smacked out of his hands.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
pushed
There's
back.
another one.
And you look back, and the whistle hadn't blown.
The whistle
Yeah.
wasn't blown, and they
The
go,
whistle
it was
wasn't
enough
blown.
for the forward progress to stop. And it's like, so
Then
why didn't you blow the whistle?
fucking whistle?
Why'd
Because when you
blow the
watch
whistle?
it
if the
in replay, and even Dante Hightower was at home tweeting about it, and he's got the thing right up on his Twitter, and he's like, "There's no whistle. He just smacked the ball out. What are we doing here? What's going on?"
yeah,
And like, I hate to harp on the refs this much, but
well, the thing is, it was one-sided. You know,
it was one-sided. It felt one-sided.
It felt one-sided. We kept saying, okay, well, you know, at some point they're going to give him a makeup call. You know, there's usually a makeup call to follow, a little ticky-tack. Okay, you know, first down. We never got it. We never got that. Now, did that change the outcome of the game? Tough to say because, you know, Miami threw all over you, but it you know, it affected things. It definitely affected things.
What I can't forgive is the Jalen Waddle touchdown at the end of the game with 2:49 left.
Yep.
Jack Jones goes to double team Tyreek Hill. There's no one back there.
No one back
and
there.
Jalen Waddle's alone. He would have had a 500-yard touchdown if the field was 500. It was like, what are you doing, kid? Like, we made mistakes in this game. And
we did.
We did a pretty good job of containing the run game and keeping them out of their scheme to create space and open field for Mostert. Thought we did fairly well with that. We had good plays in this game on offense. We had some things that we could build on, but it was just wasn't enough, and it wasn't consistent enough to keep pace with these guys. And the calls didn't help. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's like
we could have won. We should have won the game. We won the turnover battle.
There was a possibility to win the game.
There was a possibility
I'll say
to
that.
win the game.
Possibility.
You know, we were up. We didn't score in the second half or the second quarter. It seems like, you know, second quarters.
The second quarter
tough
was
for us
was
sometimes.
the turn of the first quarter into the second quarter. That was
tough.
where we
started falling apart. Mac drove. He threw the bad interception. You know, it's like Pharaoh Brown is your second leading receiver with 33 yards. Okay, I like Pharaoh Brown. I have nothing against the guy. I think he's actually turning into quite a good player for us. But it's like, how is he our number 2 guy on the board? Now, Kendrick Bourne played pretty good, then he got hurt. That was bad. And it seemed like they just knew Demario Douglas is kind of their gadget guy. Just cover him. They covered him. They just doubled him, and that was it. There was no
Kendrick
more Demario
Bourne,
Douglas.
or Pharaoh Brown had an 89.9 in this game, according to PFF. He had a 96.8 against Buffalo. He had a 93.4, and this is limited snaps. This is limited snaps, but it's not that much. Like 25 snaps in the Jets game, he had a 93.4. Okay, 23 snaps in the Buffalo game, he had a 96.8. And this isn't
Sign him, lock him up.
We're gonna have to lock up someone because all 3 of our tight end contracts are expiring.
I'd franchise Henry and get Pharaoh Brown locked up.
In this game, we didn't run the ball the way that we wanted to.
No,
80 yards,
but there were
less than 80
bits and
yards
pieces
on the ground.
And I don't think there was a yard out there that Ramondre Stevenson could have picked up that he didn't pick up.
Yeah, he had a good game.
Was throwing people around.
Yeah,
he was
awesome.
Literally
throwing people.
He had very limited
space,
sample size, very limited space. But every time he got the ball in space, he made someone miss. He pushed someone to the ground. He made extra yards for himself after contact. We talk about contact level and pad level. Like, this was a good game for him, and we just didn't get enough of it.
We didn't get him the ball enough. Yeah, I mean, him and Zeke. You know, Zeke has been effective. You know, Zeke had the fumble, and I think that affected him. He got it back. He's lucky that I think David Andrews jumped on it, or Zeke jumped on it. I can't remember, but they should have run the ball more. 17 times to those 2 guys. It should have been more. They got that. You know, they kind of went away from it early, and I do agree that you got to pass on Miami. You know, it's going to get up to you, but we should have ran it more. We should have committed to the run more, and even in the passing game, like. We had that great play a couple weeks ago that called back for holding on Hunter Henry, the Zeke Elliott little screen. It was a really nice inside dive screen. You don't see it that often. We haven't seen it since. we haven't seen much from Zeke in terms of them trying to get him the ball on third downs or just passing. I mean, at all. So
Do you have three bright spots you can mention out of this game?
3 bright spots. I'd say Duggar played in fantastic.
Duggar played
game.
great.
Duggar.
Barmore played great.
Yeah. And then
I thought Ramondre with the
Ramondre
ball
was
in his
good.
hands was terrific.
Ramondre did pretty good.
Farrell Brown was.
Keon White was getting after, but not enough to like call
Yeah.
him something. I mean,
in the first
I
half.
don't know.
Keon White was disruptive.
Yeah,
I liked him.
I'd maybe say Farrell Brown.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Go for it.
No, I
Losing
mean
Kendrick,
Kendrick Bourne, I thought had a good game too.
losing him
Is
is such a big loss. Just his energy. He's just like one of the most positive guys, and you just look at his Twitter or whatever it's called now after the game or after he's been assessed here, and he's like, God has a plan for me and this and that, and he's like, very thankful for all the well wishes. It's a shame that he's expiring because I think that's going to cost him quite a bit of money coming off an ACL.
Yeah.
He's been one of our best players since he's
Most
been
reliable
here.
target, easily.
And even when the year he wasn't used, which was last year, fans were clamoring like, "Why the fuck isn't he in there?" He's not a number one, but he's a good player, man. And receivers,
he's better than Devontae Parker, who's been starting over him for 2 years now.
He's better than everyone we have.
Averages 1 catch a fucking game, 1 for 14 this week. Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, he was open. I'll give it to him. He was open this game, and Mac didn't hit him. But part of that, it's like, okay, is it Mac's fault for not throwing to him in that situation? Because at this point, Mac has tried to throw it to him when he's open several times, and it's never worked out. So I don't know if that's a bad read or he's just like, well, I'm not fucking throwing to you because you don't catch the ball whenever I place it on you, or you let it get picked.
Yeah.
So
I think
he
Mac,
might just be like,
Mac is lacking in confidence as far as
definitely.
see
He's
it, throw it,
shell-shocked, man.
When you see it, you throw it. I think that Mac Jones has this thing going on where like, I see it, do I trust it?
Right.
Which
And it
doesn't
sucks
trust
too, because you see other teams like last night. You mentioned it. Right, texted us about it. Was Devontae Adams is like open all the fucking time. Jimmy Garoppolo just can't throw him the ball. It's like if you had a guy like that who was just open, there's not really a lot of guys who can actually cover him. And even if he's double covered, there's so much. He has enough space that he can catch the ball and make something happen. That's what Tyreek Hill did all game. I mean, that's what kills me about our defensive scheme this week is, we let up 24 points week 2 against them with a game plan of 3 deep high safeties, and we did it a tiny bit this game, but we changed things up in this game, and the 2 guys who we were like, we can let anyone beat us but Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and they both went off.
Yeah.
Probably Jalen Waddle's best game of the year.
Maybe.
So
I just want to touch on.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Okay.
No.
I thought the zone coverage we were playing was too soft.
Yes. The zone coverage was absolutely killing me. I was like, I can't believe that they're playing zone coverage like this.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was very soft. It was like, we're going to give you like 10 yards here of space,
Yeah.
But once you get past that, then we'll address you. Like, it was too
was
much
bad, dude.
cushion. And these are guys that can catch the ball short. And after the
And
catch.
run.
And
Yeah.
after the catch, they become massive fucking problems. Like, Tyreek Hill, after the catch, is as good as you'll ever see.
Oh, yeah.
He could stop on a dime, go to the other side of the field. And actually,
He's so fast, too. He's just so fucking fast.
switching gears a little bit here, but Demario Douglas had a play like that. Where
Yeah,
he
he
caught
had
the
it
ball
cool.
in space. He saw what was happening in front of him. He saw there was 3 defenders in front of him. Turned on a fucking dime and started going back the other direction towards the right sideline. That was fantastic, man. There's certain players that can do that kind of thing. And when you give Denver's players, they have a handful of them. Mostert, Hill,
You mean
Waddle.
Miami.
Miami's players.
Miami. Why am I don't know why I said Denver. But yeah, you just can't give that kind of space to those
No.
guys that are that talented. They could break a tackle and then they're fucking gone.
I gotcha. Yeah. So where where does this leave the Patriots right now? 2-6.
2-6. The trade deadline just passed today. This is Tuesday.
We didn't do shit.
We didn't do shit.
I'm surprised.
Um,
I'm surprised with it.
you know, I think you see what you get is what you see. This is the team, and they're going through. I mean, I will give it to them. Granted, the Patriots have faced an absolute gauntlet this year. You know, there haven't been a lot of good NFL play and a lot of good NFL teams, and we've played most of the best of them. So, outside of basically the 49ers and Bengals, I feel like we've played, or but we're coming up on a soft part of the schedule. Washington just kind of left, got rid of a couple guys. I think that's going to affect them. You got the Colts. You got the Giants. You got the Chargers who can't find their way. Like, you've got 4 or 5 winnable games, like, right in a row.
Commanders coming up here, yeah.
I think you're going to go 7-9, maybe 6-10.
It's tough.
Unfortunately.
It's tough because if you look at the schedule, you want to say that there's a lot of winnable games here. Including the Chargers, So
I think that's a very winnable game, yeah.
I don't know which Chargers. That's far in advance. I don't want to look that far, but I would say the Colts you can beat, the Broncos you can beat, the Jets you can beat, the Commanders you can beat. I know there's another team on there that's escaping me, but there should be at least 4 more. I would say 4 more wins coming, and that would give us 6-11.
Yeah.
It's not good enough. So for them to not make a deal to some of these expiring contracts,
yeah,
I think it's a missed opportunity.
I mean, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, we kind of talked this weekend about trade stuff. I want to see Duggar back. I thought this game was a really good signifier of how Duggar is on our team, and he had 1 or 2 plays where he bit when he should have been back the last play. That Waddle got a big reception on, but he was all over the place. He was making tackles. He was a lot better in the open field this game. I think he had 1 bad missed tackle in the open field, but he had the good pick. He's a difference maker. And
did you see him put down that tight end at the goal line?
Yeah,
he just went, dude, you are right down.
Yeah,
that dude was at the half-yard line. He just went, no, that's it.
Yeah, that was a great play. I mean, he showed up. I really want to see us re-sign him. I think you have to sign Mike Onwenu. I think you got to re-sign him. I think Anfernee Jennings. I think it's between Anfernee Jennings and Uche, and I'm surprised we didn't trade Uche.
Out. He's gone.
Uche's out. I'd re-sign Anfernee Jennings. So, yeah. I'm bummed that we didn't. I would have bought. I would have went and found a receiver. I'm sure you could have gotten a receiver for, you could have gotten a deal on a receiver. But I know everyone's against that. I don't know. You just see some of these guys make such a big difference. Like, look, the thing, like, I've heard it said this week, look at the difference what talent brings to your team. Miami had an absolute train wreck of an offensive line by the fourth quarter of this game. Train wreck. Yes. They were starting 3 backups, and then their 2 starting tackles went down. It was like, I don't even know if they can fucking field an offensive line. But they still scored because Mike McDaniel schemes around it. Get the ball out immediately. Just get it into fucking Tyreek Hill's hands. And, 3 out of 4 times he's going to get you 25 yards or whatever the fuck it is. So, right. Like, him and Mac's game really weren't that different statistically. They had a very similar completion percentage. Obviously, Tua had a lot more yards and a lot more, 3 touchdowns versus Mac's 2. But Tua had the really bad pick. He threw a really bad pick to Duggar over the middle. There was no one there. It wasn't to anybody. He put the ball on the ground on the fumble. He made plays that were like, oh, God, that's a Mac Jones. If Mac Jones made those 2 plays, we would have been blown out in this game.
Yeah, I think
he made one of them. He made one of them. But, is that on Mac or is that when he puts the ball in these receivers' hands, they're getting him 7 yards instead of 14.
Yeah, I think the difference between Tua and Mac in this game is the huge play. the Jalen Waddle for a touchdown with no one guarding him. The Tyreek Hill for 42 yards where he just beats his guy. You know what I mean? And Tua
Yeah.
catches him. I didn't think Tua was great in this game. I thought Miami left a lot on the table in this game. You know, and we don't capitalize on stuff like that. We don't get those guys for big bombs, and when we do, we get a penalty that brings it back or something like that. You know, and it's just like midpoint in the season. You've
You
played
need
8
that.
games. You're 2-6. You have 9 games coming up. You have 2 games and then a bye week. And I mean, I would just assess this thing at the trade deadline like we're not good enough to do anything realistically that's going to damage someone in this league. So
Correct.
why are we not moving on from guys that are expiring and going to leave for free?
Correct.
I don't
Yeah.
really understand. And I know it's tough to make trades in the NFL, especially during the season. You don't see a lot of it.
And it's usually you're selling low, like
Yeah.
the guys Washington just got rid of.
I mean, some
Sweat
of these
went for
guys,
he went for a second rounder.
that's
what's his
pretty
name?
good.
That's pretty good, but what's the
Chase
guy that
Young
went
went
for
for
Chase
a
Young for a
third rounder.
I mean, that's
Third round,
that
yeah.
was surprising. But you're right.
He
he's
was
been
going to
injured
be
a
a
lot.
free agent.
Right.
No,
So
well,
they got something for him.
he's still going to be a free agent right after the season,
Yeah.
unless he signs a deal before he expires. A third round pick for a guy of that caliber, if he
Those
is
are
healthy,
good deals.
he's the number 1 overall pick in 2020. We know what he can do.
I gave him a 99 overall grade in my draft guide, basically
he's a
saying
talent.
he's a
No,
he's a
there's-
top 3 pick any
You
year.
won't get any argument from me. I'm not a Ohio State guy, but he's a fucking freak athlete. If
Incredible athlete.
if he can get time on the field, he's going to be disruptive. I just don't know what's going on with the injuries, with all the bullshit.
Right.
I don't know where he's at, but for a third round pick for the rest of the season, maybe you build up some love there wherever he goes and get a nice price on him. You know, when he expires, and maybe
It would have made
you know,
sense for
if
the
he
Patriots
moves,
to move.
you could
some
maybe get a
guys.
discount.
Yeah, at least someone. I would have taken. I expected Uche. I really expected Uche.
I expected
for
Uche too.
third or fourth rounder.
Yeah.
You know,
And you know what
move on
pisses
from-
me
because
off
he
about
ain't
the whole
coming
thing?
back.
The thing that pisses me off about the whole thing is the Patriots were actively shopping him, saying,
Right.
this is what we want, but the price is too high. Why is the price so high? You know, you're not going to re-sign him. So
Right.
make some,
He's not even playing.
you know, make some concessions.
played-
You know, they always say
He's
a
played
best
2 fucking games.
the best compromise is a deal where you feel like both parties lost out.
Right.
if you could get
Exactly.
something, if you could get something going forward instead of nothing, you're not using him anyway. You take him off on rundowns. I heard someone like bring up the comparison to Rashawn Gary, and I'm like, it's not even close. I know
No.
they both went to Michigan, but Rashawn Gary plays rundowns, and I know he's not spectacular on the run, but Uche gets pulled on run situations.
He doesn't play the run. Yeah.
He gets pulled out of the game. So,
Yeah.
a third, fourth round pick for Uche, even though I'd like to re-sign him, I feel like if it was me,
Yep.
it's someone I would. Young kid, he's only 25 years old. He's proven that he could pull like 10 sack seasons with someone on the other side. Why would you
Right.
not be interested in this kid?
I think it's between him and Anthony Jennings, and Anthony Jennings is more of the stylized or system player that they like, and he's probably going to be half of the price.
He will be half the price.
So,
Yeah, but it's
that's
just
what they're
like
gonna go
it's,
with,
it's
which
half of the athlete.
fine, but
It's-
still, even if that's fine, get a 4th round pick for Uche.
Right? But
Get the
even
4th round pick for
even
Uche.
comparing
I'll take
the athleticism, it's not really that close. Like Uche is a fantastic athlete, man. So to let him leave, I hate when we leave.
Yeah,
Guys
I do like Jennings, but they're not going to sign both of them. You know,
I think my least favorite thing about Belichick right now is he lets guys that have performed in his system for free because they don't fit his mold to an exact T, and he can't change
Yep.
that to make room for a player that's clearly very talented. I digress.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about some other games from last week. Week 8, we have I think we got to start with the game of the week. Bengals at 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
Bengals go in there and absolutely hand it to them. It was 31-17 final, but it was never close.
Yeah.
Purdy is getting all the chirps. Everybody's going after Purdy right now. Joe Burrow and the Bengals are putting it all together at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, things are going good for the Bengals.
The Niners, that's their third loss in a row. Purdy just looks very pedestrian. He made a couple of really bad throws in this game, which is surprising. You know, I mean, watching the NFL this week, as we're going to get into it, I just kind of felt like the team, and I've kind of been feeling it all year a little bit, but the NFL is like lacking powerhouses. There's no, the closest you have right now is Philly. Philly was down all game. They end up coming back and they win, which is a sign of a good team. Everyone's going to get down at some point. They were getting their asses kicked and then they came back. So it happens. But, Niners looked unstoppable 3 weeks ago. They've lost 3 straight. Now they look pedestrian. It's like, I don't even know if they're going to go anywhere in the playoffs anymore. That was our Super Bowl pick. That game was our Super Bowl.
Yeah. This game told me a lot
Super Bowl
about,
pick.
It tells me a lot about where the Niners are, and specifically on defense. I don't think it's a big Purdy thing right now. I think that their offense is plenty good enough to win most of their games, if not all of them.
They only scored 17.
The thing I'm looking at is their passing defense. And to me, it comes down to their defensive line is not getting enough pressure. And it seems like they've addressed that at the trade deadline. They played this game without Trent Williams, too, which is, that's a huge void. That's the best tackle in the league. Deebo Samuel didn't play this game. I don't want to talk about their offense too much, but I think that their defense, which is very surprising, right, for a San Francisco team.
Yeah.
They haven't been able to coach someone up there that can, complement Bosa on the other side. And they made a big move to address it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how that works out.
Denver at Kansas City. Denver absolutely lays it to them. Kansas City turns it over 5 times.
It was at Denver.
No, it was at Kansas City. Oh, it was at Denver. You're right.
At Denver.
Yeah.
But Mile High, but still. What a 9 points by Kansas City.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Mahomes had the flu, and I was watching the game, and I was like, he doesn't look himself, but still. But like 9 points. 5 turnovers.
5 turnovers, terrible.
Yeah.
Kansas City they could really use some more weapons.
I thought they were going to trade for someone. I feel like they were due for trading for someone. Mahomes threw 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I mean, they just couldn't get anything going. And
I feel like
again.
Yeah, and it's not like Russell Wilson had a great day. He only threw 114 yards in the day. 12 for 19, three touchdowns on 19 attempts. That's pretty good. I think that Kansas City has kind of been skating on their when Mahomes is right, he can make a lot of things look better than it is. And I was giving a lot of credit to Kansas City for being able to win games when they weren't playing really good ball, And I think that, if Mahomes isn't right, then they have some problems there on offense. But they'll be okay. They'll be okay. I'm not going to overly, you know.
But as JJ is saying, there's no great teams. There's no unbeatable teams right now.
Right. And it's not like, Kansas City, this is a perfect example. They got their asses kicked. It wasn't like they played down to the worst team in the league and just kind of made it competitive. they looked like the worst team in the league. And where'd that come from? You lost 24-9 against. It's not like it was like 23-24, and they're lining up for the field goal. Okay, they lose it because they didn't have the ball last. Fine, they were never in that game.
It was
which
the
is
fumble.
Shocking to say.
Did you see it? McCole Hardman fumbled the punt, and he just gave him a touchdown.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go.
Well, there you go. I mean, but it's the Chiefs.
That was a
like
game.
That shouldn't. It shouldn't have been.
It shouldn't have been that close.
It shouldn't have been that close.
Yeah.
Like how many times have we seen like a Brady-led team or a Peyton Manning-led team in the past where it's like, all right, they're down, but they're fucking coming back. Like I remember there was a game in San Francisco. Brady was down like 41-10 or something, and he ends up climbing all the way back like 41-30, 38 or whatever it was. It's like, yeah, we lost, but you weren't like, oh well, they got nothing. You're like, no, holy shit, they scored 30 points in a fucking.
I thought the big takeaway. The big takeaway out of this game was just Patrick Mahomes wasn't right.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when he isn't.
He had the flu.
They've been so good at winning games, close games where they haven't been right. And if Mahomes isn't right, then it's all out the window. It's all out the window.
It really shows. Yeah. Really shows.
All right, we got to touch on Atlanta and Tennessee. Will Levis is starting for Tennessee, and he throws for over 200 yards. He looks pretty damn good.
4 touchdowns.
He looked good. Looked good. And then Desmond Ridder on the other side gets benched at halftime. Tyler Heineke comes on. Middling results for Heineke, but he can throw the ball a lot better than Ridder can.
Heineke's good, man.
I think that if he takes over this team, I think they're in a lot better shape than with Ridder. I think Ridder's pretty limited to me. It's very obvious what they're going to do with Ridder on the field. It's very run oriented, and then occasionally you hit the tight end or what's his name, Drake London there. But he got banged up in this game with his groin. It looked like he had a concussion, but they actually called it a groin. So
really, did that happen?
Hopefully he can get right because he's an absolute playmaker. It's a weird one, right? To see Will Levis. I'm happy to see Will Levis. They've really invested heavily on quarterback the last few years.
When you look at fucking Tannehill's stats, he has 2 touchdowns to 6 interceptions right now. And he just got a big ass contract, and he, like DeAndre Hopkins, has been non-existent when any other quarterback has been on the field for them. But Will Levis threw 2 touchdowns to him. It was pretty damn good. They used their weapons.
And
that's what he needs.
I mean, Derrick Henry, 22 carries for 100 yards. I mean, that's like old school kind of numbers, right? 22 carries for 100 yards.
So you
101. It's interesting because they've invested so many fucking picks in the top,
3 rounds.
3 rounds to Malik Willis and Will Levis. Will Levis throws 4 touchdowns on 29 attempts. Like, I know he's got a really good arm. Kid's fucking jacked. If he could take over there, they need someone to take over because Tannehill's expiring, isn't he?
I thought they re-upped him last year, but I could be wrong.
I thought Tannehill was expiring this year, but
maybe he is.
They need one of those guys to hit, man, and they've been needing that for a while now.
They need Tannehill out of town. A reason to check him out of town, but yeah.
How about the Battle of New York? Did you guys see
big trash can?
Giants.
Oh man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Overtime
just
game. A field goal win it.
Ugly game for what they say, like 29 punts or something.
There were 14 punts in the first half.
14 punts in the first half. Giants are winning. What was it, 10-7? I think. Is that what it was? And then Jets come all the way back. They drive all the way down with not a lot, to a minute or 2 on the clock. Score the field goal, tie it up, go to OT, and then win it.
The Giants. Oh my
Are
god.
so bad.
Oh my
so
god. So
bad.
Tyrod Taylor gets hurt in this game. Tommy DeVito comes in.
Yeah, right.
Between the two of them, 14 total passes attempted. Saquon
We're all
Barkley.
the Saquon Barkley.
Saquon Barkley runs the ball 36 times for 128 yards. That's like,
Unbelievable.
or what are we going back to the 80s? You know, like
Yeah.
that is so.
But the best part
insane
is
to
too,
me.
Rye, how many of the passes were to Saquon Barkley? Half?
He got 5 targets
5.
for
Okay,
3
so 5
catches,
targets.
3 catches and 0 yards. I mean, Saquon's a great player, man. I really
is,
love
he's good.
Saquon, but that's too much to depend on him. And I understand your top 2 quarterbacks are hurt, but the Giants are in trouble here. And if
Really
Tyrod
big
can't get
trouble.
healthy, if Daniel Jones can't get healthy, they're gonna have a really tough time. And you can't give your back the ball 36 times in today's NFL and
They're
expect
gonna
to
have
be, you know,
yeah.
it's tough. It's
They're
tough.
in the real running for number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
If their quarterbacks don't come back.
And Jets defense is good too. You know, like
Yeah.
in this game,
I was happy to see the Jets win, to be honest. I don't know why, but I was. Jets have a good record.
I hate them both, but you know,
I mean, I do too, if you got to pick. The Jets are fucking 4-3, dude.
Yeah, the Jets have a winning record. Can you believe it?
Not that, no. I really can't.
Next
You gotta
game
take your
to
hats
touch
off.
up.
Yeah.
Cleveland at Seattle. So Cleveland's going in there with the backup quarterback. Issue. Big deal. Seattle is wearing their 1990s throwbacks, which
Yeah.
are
so good.
absolutely throwing me through the roof. I'm like, I
Yes.
can't wait to root for this team. This Joey Galloway,
Sean
Seahawks
Alexander.
jersey.
Sean
Oh
Alexander.
my God.
Yeah, dude, let's go.
It's
I fucking love
incredible.
those unis. Yeah.
I need one of those. Cleveland goes in there and they're leading almost the entire game. And then
Yeah.
they're just like, hey, Browns, take the ball in the fourth quarter. Browns go down, take a touchdown. PJ Walker was not good, like not good.
Yeah.
And they're able to win that game.
he's not good.
He isn't. But it's like the Browns just keep doing this over and over and over and over and over.
It's tough. The way Cleveland really wants to play is ball possession, running game. That's really where they're good, you know. And let their it's old school. It's more of this old school run the ball, defense, run the ball on defense, you know. And like when you get into a game like this where you fall behind, it's tough. And then I think they just traded away Peoples-Jones after this game.
I'm happy about that because that guy, I love that dude. I really hope he gets a good shot to
Yeah, where do you
He's
go?
been-
Detroit? I think it
to
was
get
Detroit.
some more
He's-
opportunity.
He's been a constant for the last few years.
He's been
Yeah.
good. I feel like every time he's gotten the ball, he's just been good.
Yeah. And like you see him on Red Zone. You're watching Red Zone. He pops up all the time. And it's like over the last few years. And to see him get a shake where like in a functional passing offense, I think that's really good for him. The Browns are still 4-3 though. So it's not like
there's
it's not like the end of the season for them, but losing the Seahawks there was tough. And I think the Seahawks are major buyers because they brought in Sweat here, right? Defensive end for Washington.
yeah.
I want to say
Are they the
third,
trade
third round
partners?
pick. Yeah, they were their trade partners.
Sweat?
They're
No, they
5-2,
trade a second round pick for Sweat.
and I think they have a real chance to win the AFC West here. And I think the Seahawks
NFC.
are a decent. Yeah, the Seahawks are a decent team here.
I mean, dude, they're what, 5-2 now?
5-2.
Is that what their record is?
Yeah,
I mean, 3-1 in
solid.
the division or 3-1 at home. I mean, definitely. I mean, the Niners are kind of giving it to them.
they got a big jump in this game, man. 17 points in the first quarter. Like,
I didn't even see it. I
yeah,
didn't see that part.
17 points in the first quarter. They scored 7 at the end of the game to win it. And after falling behind kind of lackluster second and third quarter. But yeah, the Seahawks are a sneaky team.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
All right.
Dark horse.
Anything else on week 8 that we need to hit on?
I want to mention. Jacksonville had a good game over Pittsburgh. You know, they won. They're on a 6-2, 6-2 run right now. They've won 5 games in a row. I think I heard that was the best streak in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good. But the one thing I do want to touch on just very briefly is, not that it was a good game at all, but the Lions Raiders game.
Yeah, I watched
mentioned
it,
briefly.
Yeah.
I mean, the Raiders are just like, that's an offensive minded staff, and it is ugly. Like, we bitch about the Patriots and we have our problems. Don't get me wrong, we have our problems, but that was like, I didn't know you could be that dysfunctional when you see there's certain half of the field is running great and then the other one is not even playing football. I've never seen anything like it. Like Devontae Adams is on that team. Me and Ryan were texting each other. He was open the entire game.
All game.
There was one where he was just running downfield. There was no one near him. Jimmy Garoppolo just airballed it over his head, and he tried. He almost got there. Did you see that one? That was the last one. He almost got there, but it was too far out of reach, and there was no one. And Devontae went to the fucking sidelines. They kept trying to get him the ball. He just couldn't throw it to him. And I don't know what
the Raiders are going to watch the tape from this game. The Raiders are going to watch the tape from this game and be kicking themselves because Devontae Adams in the fourth quarter alone was open for 3 huge bombs that would have been touchdowns, and they missed them on all
one
3.
after another.
It was bad. There was pressure on Garoppolo or whatever, but man, Troy Aikman said something.
He can't make a throw.
Was it Troy Aikman in this game? Oh, it was Joe Buck in this game. That said
Joe Buck.
No one's ever questioned Jimmy Garoppolo's toughness.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah,
really? No one's ever questioned Jimmy Garoppolo's toughness? You can say what you want about toughness, but part of toughness is being able to stay in the game when you get tapped in your oblique and you have to go to the fucking hospital. No. Plenty of people have questioned Jimmy Garoppolo's toughness. The thing that I really want to see is him hit open guys that are downfield for
or wide open,
60 fucking yards,
wide open.
But I also thought Detroit was pretty productive in this game as far as getting Jahmyr Gibbs involved. He looked fantastic. Those jump cuts,
really good.
Those quick jump cuts.
He looked really fast, really quick.
And he can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can do a lot of things for you. I know they were missing David Montgomery a little bit, but I like Jahmyr Gibbs. He's a good player, and he's going to be around for a long time. So get used to that. And their offensive line's banged up too. I was noticing that, there was some guys I've never heard of in there. And when I looked at their offensive line before the season, they were loaded everywhere.
Yeah.
And it seems like they've had a couple of injuries, but that was my lock of the week. Actually, I think I said that last week. Detroit would win this game, but when you look at the tape, I think the Raiders will be kicking themselves because there was opportunities there that they missed.
Oh my God, there's a lot of them. Yeah.
No doubt. Okay, so next week, week 9, Patriots are going to be facing the Commanders at home in Foxborough.
Yeah, the Commanders is another one we didn't really touch on, right? And they
really didn't.
They were giving the Eagles last week. The Eagles won the game 38-31.
They always give the Eagles a tough time.
They were winning the game 17 to 10 at halftime.
Why. Yeah. They always give them a tough time, but they suck against most other teams.
There's something very interesting about Sam Howell. And I know he's a little bit reckless. Holds onto the ball too long.
I think he's a good player, man.
Takes a lot of sacks, but if you give him time and space, he will find guys. And he's not someone to be taken lightly, you know? I think that if you think
Definitely.
you're going
I
to
agree with
walk
you.
over the Commanders team, then you're mistaken. He was like 19 for 20 at halftime of this game against the Eagles. So,
Yeah.
you know, I
The
think
guy threw
go
he
ahead.
threw 39 completions on 52 attempts, 397 yards, 4 touchdowns, and interception. I mean, I agree with you, Ryan. I think, he's got something to him. Their receivers are, decent enough. Jahan Dotson has had a lot of drops, but he had a really good game. I don't like Jamison Crowder, but he had a good game. Terry McLaurin's a player. I mean, they're a little bit dangerous. The only thing I will say is they just traded their 2 big defensive ends, which, yes, they're just one position. I don't really know their depth behind it, but I am curious what that does to your locker room a week later if they're players that are liked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
I
like when you
agree.
come to work this week, those guys aren't there. So
Yeah, it's like
how are you going
we're
to take
3 and
that? Is that
5.
going to
We're
be
not we're not cooked yet. So why are you trading away a bunch of our,
right?
talented guys especially in the exterior of that defensive line? The interior of that defensive line is loaded. So
Payne is a
if you can
wrecker.
scheme I think their run defense has been pretty much the weakness of that team. And if you can scheme plays much in a Mike McDaniel role, like just scheming plays to the outside to create space, I think that's a very beatable team. But you, on the other side of the ball, like this is a team that is happy to go to like a gunslinging shootout kind of game. Like they like that. McLaurin, Dotson,
which we cannot play.
yeah,
We can't compete in those games.
it's an interesting team. It's a
At
different.
all. So
it's a different
that
kind of
worries
team
me
than I
about
think we've
this one.
played.
Yeah.
It is.
Sam Howell was on track to set the record for the most sacks in the season.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
So has their offensive line turned it around? Like what's happened there?
Well, it was only 1 week ago that was the case.
I don't want to put too
Right,
much
yeah,
of that
yeah.
on their
True.
offensive line because Sam Howell is like when I
He
watch
holds
him,
the ball.
I think of Brett Favre. I really do. Like he holds the ball for so fucking long. He's very roll the dice, gambler type of style for a quarterback.
Yeah. And when you absolutely. And I almost feel like the team's personality looks like that. I'm looking at their win-loss record right now. It's like they beat the Cardinals, they beat the Broncos, and they scored 35 points against the Broncos, which may be a historically bad defense, so we'll see about that. But they got crushed by the Bills. They lost in a close one to the Eagles earlier in the year. They get blown out to the Bears, who haven't blown anyone out. I think that was the only week that the Bears did anything. Then they lose to the Giants 14-7, and then they lose to the Eagles 38-31 again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's like, they play to the I don't really know what they're doing. They lose to the Giants and the Bears, but then they, nearly beat the Eagles and they beat the other teams that they're supposed to. So it's like, are they a good team? Are they not? I think they're a middling team. I think it's a team you can win. You can win this game. It's at home. Hopefully we'll win. I think our biggest thing is, like we mentioned, does the team think their coach quit on them and their GM quit on them by trading 2 big pieces?
It's a big question.
That's a big thing, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, I know they did what was best for their roster long term, and
sure.
I respect that. But at the same time, like this isn't a team that's playing poorly. Like they put up a good fight. They almost put up a good fight every single week they play.
I didn't expect them. I thought they were good enough where I didn't expect them to sell. Like they sold today. You get rid of 2 starters at the trade deadline, you're selling. Like that's you have a clear indication of what you're doing. It's not like you do that and you're like, all right, guys, we're preparing for a playoff run. No.
I'm just looking at a team like they've played the Eagles twice already, right? And they
Right.
put up a good fight this
And
week.
both
And
times.
and the last time they played them, they went into overtime.
Yeah.
Um,
They lost 34-31. Close game.
So it's weird. I think it's mixed signals to their players. And I would expect them to continue fighting, but we just don't know. After this trade deadline, I think it's very much on the cards for us to come in and beat them. And
Yeah.
and I think emotionally things could turn for them. I think it's a big game for the Commanders more than it is for us.
Yeah,
Wow.
agreed. James, how do you think the Pats line up with the Commanders?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're gonna go zone just because that's the way it's been going. I feel like we get eviscerated in zone. I don't think maybe Sam Howell's not the guy to do it. He gets sacked so many times. Maybe he just can't read his zone, and the zone blitzes get to him. So I don't want to say don't play any zone, but I feel like you might be able to man up against them a little bit. Depending on who's healthy. JC Jackson got absolutely roasted all game last week. I feel like part of that was because of the safety help. JC Jackson always needs tight safety help, always. And they weren't doing him any favors putting on Tyreek Hill and having Marte Mapu be his over-the-top safety several times in that game. So, if you can line him up on someone like a Curtis Samuel or Jamison Crowder, you put Johnny Jones on to Terry McLaurin and, maybe, I don't know, figure out what to do with Jahan Dotson, double him, something like that. I mean, he has a lot of drops this year too, so it's not like none of their guys are top level. I thought it was Terry McLaurin. He's kind of there. He's like on the outer edge.
He's good, yeah.
He's good. He's like maybe top 20. I don't know if he's top 20.
He's top 20. I would say he's top 20.
You think he's top 20?
Yeah.
So he's on the lower end of the top 20 anyways. So, it's not like he's like a Tyreek Hill type of player or anything like that. So,
no.
Nothing there that I'm super worried about. And offensively, I want to stick to the run. I'm trying to see some numbers. I haven't seen a ton about how these guys play. I want to see them get our run game going. It's like you got to get your run game going. I don't know what they're going to do in the fucking pass game because Devontae Parker's gone, which is fine. He's out. You just lost Kendrick Bourne. It's going to be Demario Douglas. It's going to be Jalen Reagor. It might be Thornton out there. Am I missing anyone? Juju Smith-Schuster caught his first touchdown. We didn't even mention it. Maybe he's out there. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what our passing game is going to look like. I feel like Mike Gesicki, you're going to have to kind of put him at a receiver position. And I'd put Pharaoh Brown as your second tight end.
Right.
Is what I'd do. Mike Gesicki on the outside, Pharaoh Brown as your tight end, and Douglas underneath. Maybe get Thornton out there. He was a healthy scratch last week. I don't know what.
Yeah.
Just put him on the fucking field. Can we see if the kid can play?
Yeah.
I
want to see Keisha Butte in this game too.
Same, dude. I'm sick of this shit where they're like, we're going to wait. And I know sometimes it does work, but you're in a position where we need to see if he's a receiver or not. We don't have the luxury of waiting like we did 5 years ago. It's like now, is he a player? Is he not a player? Get him up to speed or, let him play the year out. See if he can build something. And if not, you know next year we got to get something else in here. Can't just keep saying, oh, well, Thornton might come around this year. No, I can't deal with it anymore.
Yeah. No, I agree with you,
along.
Man. I agree with you, man. I think this is the type of game on offense where we need to establish the run. And we need to do that outside the tackles. I think
I agree.
More than any other game.
Completely agree.
But we can do that against this team, especially with the guys that they've sent away.
They just shipped
Washington
off their
side of
two
the ball.
edge rushers.
Get the ball on the outside of the field, whether you have to do that with screens or tosses or whatever you need to do, and then set up the play action. Because this team is very, very beatable on when we have the ball. Defensively, I think that this is a turnover-prone team that's beatable. You need to get some kind of pressure on Sam Howell. It's very juxtaposition on Tua, where I think that if you got pressure on Tua, the ball's out so fast that you just wasted resources on trying to get the pressure on Tua. So this is a game where I think that you can beat their front offensive line. You can beat their offensive line with just the guys you have. And if you can do that, then you put yourself in good position to get turnovers out of those plays. Because Sam Howell will throw it up there. He doesn't give a shit. He's very reckless. But by the same token, like Sam Howell will make a guy miss or two, and then he's looking deep. And if you're not, responsible for those plays, if you're not making sure you're stuck on your scheme, Sam Howell will beat you for a long touchdown. So I think that we're really similar teams. Not so much in how we play, but like how we statistically perform. And
yeah,
it's a close game. I think just
right.
by talent, I think it's a close game.
It's very close. Yeah, let's do some predictions. Ryan, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Pats 27. I think we can score against this team, and I'm gonna go Commanders 16.
I like it. I'm gonna go Patriots 24, Commanders 14.
Damn.
I think we take it. I think it's.
I think it's a winnable game, right? Like
we gotta start fast.
It's winnable. It's definitely winnable. However, I got the Commanders winning.
I mean, it's winnable or losable.
Yeah. I got Commanders 20, Pats 16.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right,
okay.
Sean.
You know what? I don't totally discount that. I think that's.
I'm not happy about it.
You're not happy about it, but Sam Howell, man,
not bad.
And some of the
I
guys
like
they have over there, they will. It seems like they don't have a lot of fear. Is my thing with it, and if you can't stop them, that's one thing. But you need to beat some of those players on defense, especially the interior of that defensive line makes me nervous. That's why I'm really harping on scheming to the outside of their defense, especially after those guys they just traded away.
Yeah,
definitely. Okay, let's talk about some Week 9 matchups. Seattle,
best week of football
Baltimore.
I've seen in a while. Yeah, huge
Seahawks
game.
at Baltimore. I think this is going to be a really good game. Seattle just came off a big win against an AFC North opponent. Baltimore has way too much credibility right now. I feel like they're ready to take a step down. I would take Seattle in this game. Not exactly sure why. I can't explain it logistically.
Yeah.
But that's who I'm taking.
I think Seattle wins. I think it's tough to say. It's going to be a close one. Seattle's gotten lucky a couple weeks, but yeah, I think they're going to beat Baltimore. I do think they come back down to earth a little bit.
Yeah.
How about Miami goes to Kansas City? Where's that?
There you go.
Yep. Germany, the first Germany game?
It's in Frankfurt. Yep.
That's a huge game, dude. All week.
I can't believe
all this week is some big games.
That's one of the ones that got scheduled overseas.
I know, dude. You know, it's funny. They keep saying, this is the only week I can remember in the last 4 or 5 weeks where it's wow, there's actually 3 or 4 really good matchups. I keep hearing this bullshit that they're AI has changed the schedule. Used to be a 3-month thing, and now it's all AI generated, which takes 25 minutes. It's oh yeah, and the schedule fucking sucks. Maybe if you had any fucking clue, if you were a football fan at all, you'd be well, hey, maybe we shouldn't put Detroit versus fucking Las Vegas on Monday night. Maybe we should put a little better game in there. You know what I mean? It's every goddamn week you hear I feel terrible for Al Michaels on Thursday night. Every week he's
every week
he's trying to
Tennessee
find
and Pittsburgh. This game is going to be 7-10. He's going to be oh fuck.
Literally. How am I supposed to sell this one?
Eat some fucking vegetables is what he's going to say.
Miami and KC and Frankfurt is incredible. Incredible game, and it's overseas.
It's overseas at 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
This
What
should have
a
been a
fucking
Sunday or
sham.
Monday night or 4:25 game, prime time for the entire country to see, and it's just wasted away.
I hate the fucking overseas games, man. What are we doing? You
What
know,
are we doing?
we're never gonna have a team over there. You know, and if we do, then it's not the National Football League. So why?
Yeah.
You know, I don't get it. But you guys mentioned
What-
the Ravens and Seattle.
Seattle. Yeah.
I like Seattle right now.
That's going
I
to be a
think-
fun game.
Yeah,
I
we're
think
all,
Seattle's
we're all
playing
on
well.
Seattle, it sounds like.
I'm going to take Seattle in that game. I think they added a lot of confidence to that team by buying at the trade deadline.
Definitely.
Players look at that. You know,
You get a
Players
guy
care
like
about that.
Sweat too, and it's not. Yeah,
and
it's
he's
not
a,
even
he's
like
a
you just
player. That defense
he's
is
a-
going to be markedly better, and they just
definitely.
they drafted Boye Mafe a couple years ago, and like he's starting to come on. They have players there that, I mean, Jamal Adams, Devon Witherspoon,
Yeah.
guys that are premier
Yeah.
talents on that defense. And the thing they've been lacking for the last couple of years really has been that pass rush, right? So if they can get that going, I mean, Seattle's the team on the up, and
It is.
you know, what was the game in Germany? Is Kansas City and
Miami, Kansas
Miami.
City, yeah.
that's a great fucking game, right? And like,
So it's such a waste. Such a waste over there. They don't give a shit what
Can
they're
you imagine
watching.
losing that home game as like I think that's too big of a game to put over there.
I agree.
You know,
I think it's too
Yeah.
too big of a game for television rights to have
Whoever
on
loses-
at 9:30
right.
on NFL Network.
whoever
That's a
loses that game
Kansas
is
City
going to
game.
look back. They're going to look back on that game. So all right, so Kansas City at home. They're going to look back in that game if they lose and be like, "Well, we didn't
And they're going to
really
go,
have a
that
home
was
field advantage."
$40
here."
million.
There's going to be guys
Is what they're gonna say.
Kids in the stands with Falcons and fucking Titans jerseys on. Like,
Yeah.
that's not the same thing as playing it at Arrowhead. You know, where like
No, not at all.
you
right.
go into Arrowhead.
Two more games. Two games
I-
to talk about.
It's
Dallas.
bullshit, though. You agree?
at
It's bullshit.
Philadelphia. I
Complete
agree it's
bullshit.
bullshit.
We were ranting about it before when you took a quick
I had to pee.
breather.
Dallas at Philadelphia. Great game.
Dallas at Philly.
Fantastic game.
I love it. I love it.
Huge game.
Philly
425
Where's that?
has owned Dallas. It's in
in
Philly.
Philly.
That it's not in Taiwan or some bullshit.
No. Thank God. 425. That's a big one. I mean, didn't
It's at 6 in the morning.
yeah, 6 in the morning yesterday.
I can't even believe we're not playing home games at home. That's just that's sacrilegious.
My only
All right,
question:
I'm sorry.
Does Dallas have a chance?
No.
Because Philly has owned them. Absolutely
mean,
owned them.
Yeah, I feel like Dallas is a great team until they go up against someone they're supposed to be competitive with, and for whatever reason they fall apart. They went
have
against the
concerns.
Niners. That was a huge game. They got absolutely throttled, and that was a week after destroying us. So that made no sense to me. They're going to Philly. Philly has a will to win. You know, I don't think they're playing their most complete football right now. They have issues. They have issues on the offensive line, injuries like everybody else. But Dallas just kind of folds under the pressure. It's like they go into these teams to beat the crap out of an easy team, and they do it. And then they go against like another heavy hitter who is in their league, and they just fall over. I don't get it.
I have concerns about Philly.
you're right.
Specifically, their pass rush
Yeah.
is not where it's supposed to be. I
It
think.
should be better. Yeah,
It should be a lot
way
better than it is. Instead, they're the 26th in yards on defense in the passing game. Number one against the rush, but 26th in pass. And this is a pass-heavy league. I have major concerns about Philly right now, and it's weird because I think their talent is plenty. You know, they have enough talent to run the table. But they've been struggling the last few weeks. I mean, they almost lost to the Commanders. You know, they beat the Dolphins, but they lost to the fucking Jets. Like,
Yeah.
everything's on the cards right now, I think, with Philly.
Yeah. How about Sunday night? Buffalo at Cincy.
Big game.
Isn't this
AFC
weird?
show-
I mean, it's
huge.
weird. With
What- in
the
terms of
DeMar
what?
Hamlin
It's-
thing, it's weird.
Oh, yeah.
It's fucking
Yeah.
weird. I was like, I can't believe they put this on Sunday night. Like,
Once again, AI going, oh, it seems like a good matchup statistically. Yeah,
No
well, if you had a
thanks.
brain, you would have said, meh, maybe not Sunday night. so
Yeah,
we're
maybe
good."
don't do that.
That is odd. I mean, it's a good matchup. It's a good game. Cincinnati's really catching their stride. Buffalo's trending downward. They eked out a win last week on Thursday night, but they're dealing with some serious issues. Josh Allen doesn't look the same. We've talked about their offense. Their defense is dealing with some severe injuries. So
And Cincinnati
it's
is peak right now.
humming.
They are fucking
So-
peak.
it's Cincinnati's game to give away
Yeah.
or lose. You know, they
I
could
agree
really
with that.
kind of
Yeah.
they could really kind of bury Buffalo right now. Buffalo just had a tough eke it out win on Thursday night. They lost to us last week. They lose to Cincinnati this week. I mean, I think have the same record as the Jets at that point.
Holy shit.
It's insane. It's insane, man. Buffalo's really going through a tough spell here. Whether or not
Or
they can,
they have 5 wins, so they'd be 5-4. They'd be 5-4 after this. So we'll have to see how the Jets fare, but they could have the same record.
yeah, they're going through a
after
tough
next week.
spell, man. I like Cincinnati in this game. I think Cincinnati is on the up, Buffalo's on the down. Whether
Yeah.
they can, it's a big game, and I think it's a playoff game, really. When you look at it, like
No,
it's got
yeah,
playoff
absolutely.
implications, even
Yeah.
early in the season. I assume both these teams are going to get right at some point. So, man, I just like Cincinnati. I like the way they're playing. I think it's a lot better than before. We'll see, man. It's a good game though. I'm glad it's
Big time.
it's on Sunday night because I get to
Yeah.
watch it without
I think that might,
distraction
I think
from
you're
the
kind of-
Pats.
Yeah, definitely. I think that. I mean, there's the LA Chargers play the Jets Monday night. I mean, I'll watch it. That's probably an entertaining game just to see who fucks up more. Who makes the worst call you've ever seen on fourth and 10 from their own 5-yard line or something? But,
Exactly. I was really hoping, and I think I said it on the podcast last week, that the Chargers would lose to the Bears, so
Yeah.
Staley would get fired.
But
But like, if he loses to the Jets,
might happen.
does it happen?
Maybe.
I need it to happen.
It's
Anyway.
tough. It's a tough matchup, honestly, for their offense against their defense, against the Jets' defense. Man, and if they do lose, I just don't know why the change hasn't been made yet. Like,
Exactly.
it's very clear to me that
Well, I think I've heard that the Chargers ownership is quite cheap. Just look at their stadium situation. And I wonder if they're like, well, if we fire him, we have to pay him for the rest of the season and another guy.
There you
So
go. There you go.
There's a
there's a lot of fun matchups this week, man. To me, that's
They're
fun.
tight. There's a lot of tight matchups.
Giants
this
and
week,
Raiders is a tight game.
I don't give a shit about that game though.
I don't give a shit about it, but that's a tight game.
It's
You know,
an evenly
who's gonna win?
matched game.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Titans and Steelers, that's a tight game. I don't give a shit about either of those teams.
Yeah.
Vikings and Falcons, I think that's a really good matchup. Like, I think
Of course you do.
they match up fairly well against each other. Right? Am I out of line here?
Oh yeah, no, you're right in line. Yeah,
I don't know. With Kirk Cousins going down, it's really tough for me to picture what Minnesota is going to put together. I just don't know.
Well, they just
They could be
traded for
gone.
Dobbs, right? For
Josh
from
Dobbs
Arizona.
today.
Which I don't know what that does. That does something, but I don't know. I don't know how wide that swings the needle.
I don't either. And the
Indianapolis
Vikings
at
are in trouble
Carolina.
here because
There's
the Vikings, I feel like they could have easily sold Daniil Hunter, and they didn't. And they have the Falcons coming in with a different quarterback as well. And It's interesting, man, and I think the Falcons are in line to make the playoffs at this point, or at least in the running with that NFC South being so poor. Both teams are 4-4. It's not like they're both terrible, you know. So
Well, they get to play each other all the time, so that helps.
it's I think it's a good fantasy matchup more than anything, you know.
It is. That's a fantasy matchup for sure.
Yeah,
they've got some names over there.
No doubt.
All
right.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up here for week 9. But thank you guys for listening. Please remember to subscribe and review. And
like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
And ask questions. If you want to ask questions, maybe we can answer them on the podcast.
Sure. Absolutely.
You know, I had
100%.
one come in this week from Eric, longtime supporter. He said, "When will Malik Cunningham be the starting quarterback of the Patriots?"
2027.
I don't
Probably
know
never.
if that's ever going to happen, buddy. But this guy, he bought a jersey. He bought the Malik Cunningham.
Realistically.
He bought a Malik Cunningham jersey in like week 2.
How do you even get that?
The preseason?
I
he had a custom made. He had a custom made.
He had custom. Okay. All right. Just making sure. Because they don't have a Duggar jersey out, or they didn't.
They didn't have.
And, you know.
The
have
Duggar
jersey
is
no
wild.
Duggar.
That you don't have a Duggar jersey on the Patriots website.
Fair enough.
To buy.
Thank you all for listening, and we'll be back next week.
Adios.